over the weekend. Happened on I-80 in Crockett, where a teenager fell to his death while watching from above. The CHP says that 16-year-old boy climbed over a barrier on the overpass near Pomona and Merchant Streets by the Carquinez Bridge to watch the sideshow below and then fell off. Happened just before 3:30 Saturday morning. Witnesses say people were jumping across the freeway gap for a better view, and the CHP says that teen fell about 75 feet.
It's just an unfortunate situation. I mean, they come up here, they think that everything's going to be okay, and it's a great time, but it's pretty dangerous.
Officers say that sideshow involved more than 100 vehicles. Layoffs reportedly coming to a San Francisco mental health nonprofit. According to the Examiner, almost 200 employees could soon be out of work. The employees run a 24/7 peer run line, which gives people in crisis an alternative to calling 911. The Examiner reports the Mental Health Association of San Francisco plans to lay off around 2/3 of its staff. That is reportedly because of cuts in state funding. The Trump administration says it has reached a deal with China over TikTok. Congress passed a ban last year out of bipartisan concern that TikTok posed a national security risk. But President Trump has delayed enforcement of that ban 3 times. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says that national security was a big component of the deal.
We were very focused on TikTok and making sure that it was a deal that is fair for the Chinese and completely respects U.S. national security concerns. And that's the deal we reached. U.S. national security comes first.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says both sides have reached a framework deal. He says President Trump will meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Friday to finalize it. All right, let's take a look at our first alert forecast as we kick off a new week of work and school. This is a look from our Mount Diablo camera. And things are about to heat up. Meteorologist Jessica Birch timing it out for us.
High pressure is starting to roll its way into the Bay Area, gearing us up for daytime highs above average in certain microclimates. Today, we're sitting in the 80s in San Francisco and across the Bay Bridge over in Oakland. You make your way up into wine country. Last week around this time, we were talking about daytime highs in the 70s. This week, we have 90s, anywhere from Novato all the way up into Santa Rosa. And by the way, speaking of 90s, from Concord over into Walnut Creek, Antioch, Livermore, the Tri-Valley area, we're all hand in hand with daytime highs a little bit above average for this time of year. Now, it'll be a nice warm day for us with 90s down into the Santa Clara Valley. Sunny skies expected too, but I want to show you our heat risk map. And notice the change as I turn the page from today, our Monday forecast, all the way into our Tuesday forecast. It becomes a lot more widespread off into those inland zones. Places like the Sacramento Valley look hand in hand with places like the Santa Clara Valley too. Off into the North Bay, as we turn into our Wednesday forecast, we start to see that moderate and even high risk in certain microclimates. So we're monitoring this very closely as we head into the coming days. That area of high pressure impacting hundreds and thousands of us as we're gearing up for daytime highs above average. That hot weather is going to stick around for Tuesday and Wednesday before low pressure rolls in, cooling us off quick back into the 80s by Thursday and Friday. Now, a couple things to mention with this. Now is the time to start hydrating and checking in on your loved ones. Daytime highs are expected to be above average as we head into the next couple days, so you're going to want to take it slow in the mid portion of the day when those UV rays are strong. And you're also going to want to just, push off those lovely walks with the dogs or the kiddos at the park into the early morning hours, or push them off into the late evening hours too. We'll keep you updated on this heat wave here in the Bay Area. It looks like it's going to be beautiful though as we dive into this weekend. Back to you.
Well, would you be willing to pay more in taxes to provide a lifeline for public transportation? A bill to do just that was approved by California Democrats, and now it is sitting on Governor Newsom's desk. That bill allows leaders in 5 Bay Area counties to authorize a sales tax measure on the ballot in November 2026. So, several steps to go. But that would be to fund public transit over the next 14 years. Our Amanda Harry has more on the long-term funding efforts to avoid a financial collapse for Bay Area transit agencies.
For Carter Lavin, public transit is a way of life.
I use it all the time.
Lavin usually takes the bus, BART, and even the ferry, and he uses his bike to get around in between. He says all those options are necessities for those who use them and for those who don't.
Without BART, freeways are a parking lot. Without the local bus, people are not able to get to work.
But whether or not public transit stays running and reliable is up in the air. The agencies need funding to stabilize, or Bay Area residents could see devastating cuts to services. Friday night, the California legislature passed SB 63, a bill aimed at raising and allocating funding for public transit,
which is one of the most important pieces of legislation for Bay Area transportation, our future.
State Senator Scott Wiener co-authored the bill to try and fulfill a growing need for his constituents.
BART, Muni, Caltrain, AC Transit, they're at serious risk of major service cuts if we don't stabilize them for the long run. And so this legislation will authorize a 5-county ballot measure to raise revenue for these systems to stabilize them. It's long overdue and it's incredibly important.
Those 5 counties are Alameda, Contra Costa, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara. It would be a new sales tax that would go towards the funding. The default rate is 1/2 cent. In San Francisco, it would be 1 cent to support Muni.
None of us likes to pay more taxes, but we're going to have to really explain to the voters and make the case that this is essential and that it's worth doing this, because the alternative is just not tenable.
Wiener says without the funding, BART could collapse, and Lavin agrees.
Without this funding, we're looking at 85% reduction in BART service. That is stations being closed, that is communities not having a BART, that is people uprooting their lives.
The measure still has to be approved by Governor Gavin Newsom. Then signatures need to be collected to get it on the ballot in November of 2026. Lavin says this measure could change the trajectory of Bay Area transit.
If it passes this fall 2026, that will provide hundreds of millions of dollars every single year for transit throughout the big 5 Bay Area counties for 14 years to come. So this is a long-term investment. This is this kind of foundational piece of transit funding that the Bay Area has always lacked.
Governor Newsom faces an October deadline to approve or veto the measure. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area. Bay Area veterans getting the help and resources they need from a nonprofit program in the East Bay. How a formerly homeless veteran started a life-changing program.
It's about getting veterans that serve their country to serve their community. So we give them that new mission.
Plus, Thrive City cheering on the Valkyries in their first playoff game ever. How the team needs to win in San Jose to keep their season alive.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Well, we're kicking off this week's forecast with warm weather widespread throughout the Bay Area, but where we really notice it, it's our inland microclimates, where we're under a moderate heat risk as we head into this afternoon. That's going to be places like the East Bay, the Santa Clara Valley, and all the way up into wine country too, with mid-90s in the forecast today. Tomorrow, upper 90s as we head into our Wednesday forecast before temperatures drop quick back down into the low 80s as we head into Thursday and Friday. That's as a low pressure moves in. Now, we're going to notice that warm influence too along the bay with 80s today and tomorrow, 70s by the weekend.
We are learning new details about the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk last week. The suspect is a former high school honor student who grew up in Utah. In a series of TV appearances yesterday, Utah Governor Spencer Cox, a Republican, said that suspect Tyler Robinson's friends and family claimed that he was radicalized to the left. But state records show the alleged gunman was registered as unaffiliated and didn't even vote in 2022 or 24. Governor Cox also noted that the suspect had a roommate who was a romantic partner and said the FBI confirmed the roommate is transitioning genders. He added investigators have not determined if that's relevant to the case.
I will say that that person has been very cooperative with authorities. This person did not have any knowledge, was shocked when they found out about it.
According to a probable cause affidavit, the roommate showed law enforcement messages allegedly from the suspect that mentioned leaving a rifle in a bush wrapped in a towel, which is similar to how investigators described finding the murder weapon. The Utah County attorney is expected to file formal charges against the suspect tomorrow. Military veterans who are struggling with homelessness are finding some hope today in the East Bay. Nonprofit groups are providing resources at the Contra Costa County Fairgrounds. Da Lin talked with some of the attendants.
For a few hours, Marine Corps veteran Deborah Taylor can focus on the fishing rod in her hand instead of worrying about where she'll sleep tonight.
And I've been fishing since I was a little girl. I thought it'd be fun to come out.
She caught 3 fish on Sunday at the Antioch Regional Shoreline, but her biggest hope is to land permanent housing. Right now, she sleeps in her car.
I'm hoping to find housing in Antioch, city of Antioch.
Deborah attended the 4-day Veterans Resource Fair known as Stand Down on the Delta this weekend to connect with service providers. The free event is organized by Delta Veterans Group. About 70 organizations came together at the Contra Costa County Fairgrounds to provide veterans with services like haircuts, medical checkups, dental care, food, and housing placement. The fishing trip is about more than catching and releasing. It's about healing the mind.
It's about getting veterans that serve their country to serve their community. So we give them that new mission, and this fishing is part of that, is to really teach them how to reconnect into their community so then they can launch off just like they did in the military.
J.R. Wilson, founder of Delta Veterans Group, says if veterans can thrive mentally, they're more likely to succeed physically. Navy veteran Gabriel Alfonso is living proof.
I was homeless on the streets with my dog. Then it felt like no one cared for me. And my life changed when I walked through those doors in the stand down.
He found a job, a home, and a new life. Now he volunteers at the event, his new mission.
It's nice to be able to encourage and give hope to another veteran because I've been in their shoes before.
Say, yeah, I need a hand up. Can you help me out? When they're willing to do that, there are 1.3 million hands being stretched out to try and help them.
Deborah is ready to take that hand. She served her country for 4 years. Now she just wants a roof over her head.
I have an interview on Monday, so prayerfully things will work out. I feel very optimistic. I think things are going to turn around.
Ooh, sending her good interview vibes. The organizer, Delta Veterans Group, estimates they're going to help around 500 veterans and their families during this 4-day event. Treasure Island's newest waterfront park is now officially open to the public. It's called Cityside Park, and this morning it is greeting ferry passengers as the first stop on Treasure Island. We met up with Rose Lowe, who lives on Yerba Buena Island, and she says the views of the San Francisco skyline are stunning.
The view is just spectacular, and this is the perfect place to put it because it's not obstructed by anything. You have a clear view, get to see the whole city. You get to see the Golden Gate. Yeah. You've got the wind that we love.
So the park is just 6 acres for now, but it's going to start to grow as more housing eventually goes up. And It will eventually stretch 18 more acres along Treasure Island's western edge. The Golden State Valkyries hosting their next playoff game Wednesday at SAP Center in San Jose, and they're going to need to win that one or the postseason is over. The Valkyries made their playoff debut yesterday against the top-seeded Lynx in Minnesota, and the Lynx cruised to a win. Final score 101-72. Valkyries facing elimination this Wednesday in the best-of-3 series. The team has never beaten the Lynx this season, but the Valkyries have defied expectations all season long, and as Kelsey Thorne found out, that underdog mentality fueled the fire at the watch party in Thrive City.
The early tip time didn't stop hundreds of fans from heading over to Thrive City Sunday to catch the Valkyries' first ever playoff game.
I woke up at 6 in the morning to get ready for this game.
Oh, when you come out early, you're a fan. You're a true fan. Out here it's 10 o'clock on the West Coast, so I had to get up at 5 o'clock to get my game plan ready for myself.
GSV! GSV!
The Valks face the #1 seed Minnesota Lynx in Minnesota, and while fans knew it was going to be a tough game to win, they remained hopeful their team could pull it off.
This is crazy that we're even this deep into the just playing basketball still. So 8 seed in playoffs, that's tremendous.
You can only be beat so many times before you start winning. So me and my coach been talking about it, and we just can't see them losing to them 5 straight games.
The first quarter was promising with the Valks coming out the gates hot, but then Minnesota showed why they are the #1 team, ultimately beating Golden State by 29 points. Still, these fans are holding on to hope that the Valks could pull off an upset. The series is best-of-3, and the next game will be played here in the Bay Wednesday night.
This was a blip, right? Now they know what they need to do. We won't get spanked like this again. And Wednesday, they're going to bring it. And I saw Veronica being mad. And when Veronica's mad, you better watch out.
I'm still feeling great. I can't wait to watch them come play at home. We'll be at SAP on Wednesday. It's going to be so much fun anyway. You know, the Lynx are #1 seed, so I think we played really well against them, and it's all I can ask for. We're in the playoffs.
We believe, right? We believe. That's a good thing about a series, right? Is you can lose a game and it still doesn't matter if you win the next 2. That's right. That's right. Nothing is preordained.
Again, the Valkyries hosting the Lynx at SAP Center Wednesday night. It is win or go home, so they're going to need all the crowd help they can get. Tickets are still available. The cheapest resale tickets, though, going for about $110. The 49ers are off to a 2-0 start this season. The Niners beat the Saints in New Orleans yesterday by a score of 26-21, and they did it without Brock Purdy, as Vern Glenn shows us his replacement stepped up in a big way.
This is the Audi Red and Gold Report.
It hasn't been pretty, but there's only one stat that the 49ers care about after starting their season with back-to-back road games.
Being 2-0 right now is awesome, so headed back on that plane will feel much better.
Mac Jones was feeling good after his first start with the 49ers. Mac wasn't quite as loose before the game, but a quick pep talk from Trent Williams helped him settle in.
Really, the guys around me, like Trent, came up to me. He's like, "You're good, dude. Just go out there and hoop." And I was like, "I got you. I can go hoop." And then once he said that, I was like, "All right, let's play ball." So that was kind of cool.
He's just fun energy. To have a backup quarterback who has that much swagger and kind of the offense feeds off of it.
All around to put up, 26 points, that's going to be winning football for us every week.
With the Red and Gold Report, I'm Vern Glenn.
And tune in Wednesday for our Weekly's 49ers Experience show with Vern and Matt. That airs at 7:30 on KPIX and it's streaming on the free CBS News app. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area. It has been a fixture along the Embarcadero in San Francisco for decades. Now it's set to be torn down. How skateboarders are fighting to save it.
There's people all across the world who come to San Francisco to skate here in specific.
with 80s near San Francisco and Oakland. It's making for a warm day, but you head over into our inland spots. You probably want to take it a little bit slow as we head into the afternoon hours today. We're gearing up for daytime highs above average in places like Contra Costa County up into Solano County. We turn the page all the way into our Tuesday forecast. Notice how there's little specks of red down closer to the foothills near the Santa Clara Valley. That's a high heat risk as we head into our Tuesday setup. On Wednesday, that moderate becomes a lot more widespread in the orange color. So a lot of changes as we kick off this work week's forecast, but the crazier change has to do with Wednesday into Thursday's forecast. As low pressure rolls in, it cools us off fast from the upper 90s to the lower 80s with cloudy skies, a chance of some dry lightning in the forecast too. And that'll be the case Friday and Saturday with a lot more mild weather right around the corner. Over to you.
Thanks, Jess. In San Francisco, the debate over the city's decision to pull down Viancore Fountain in the Embarcadero Plaza is heating up. That plan is to build a new multi-million-dollar park that would end up being twice the size of Union Square. Amanda Harry spoke with a group of skaters that say the fountain's loss would be devastating.
The architecture of the Embarcadero Plaza could soon look very different. A renovation plan could eliminate the iconic and at the same time controversial Viancore Fountain.
To see it go would be like devastating.
Zeke McGuire started skating at just 10 years old. Since then, he's been going to the plaza.
I've been coming here my whole life, and I've skated those stairs. I got injured on those stairs.
He's skated every inch of it, including the ledges of the Viancore Fountain. It's been a fixture of the area since it was completed in 1971. The fountain is impossible to miss. Boxy concrete tubes that stand about 40 feet high. It's been the backdrop of more skateboard videos than anyone can count.
It's extremely awesome. It's there's people all across the world who come to San Francisco to skate here in specific, so for it to be gone, people would come and visit here and it wouldn't be here anymore. So I would say get it in before it's gone.
San Francisco Recreation and Parks announced the Embarcadero Plaza renovation project last year. The city would construct a new waterfront park, which would tear down the structure, telling us earlier this year that after years of deterioration, the fountain now poses a safety issue.
The structure is unstable, hazardous materials are present, and we just can't allow public access to a space that poses safety risks.
Historical preservationists, landscape architects, and skate enthusiasts like Bay Area professional skateboarder Carl Watson are now pushing back, saying it's a part of the sport's history in San Francisco.
A beautiful monstrosity that needs to stay.
He says except for a few exceptions, people didn't skate into the fountain, just around it.
The fountain was integral for when we were tired after skating. We needed a place to relax and, just enjoy the water flowing, and the fountain definitely did that for us.
Now the fountain is stagnant. The water stopped flowing years ago. In June, it was fenced off after the city deemed it a safety hazard. If Fellman was disappointed to see it like this.
I came down here last week just to see the fencing, and I was like, oh, they really don't want us skating here anymore.
In August, the Recreation and Parks Department formally requested permission to remove the fountain from the city's civic art collection. But McGuire is hoping people like Watson and the artist keep fighting. Armin Viancore's lawyer recently sent a letter to multiple city departments demanding the city cease and desist all efforts to remove his work. No final decision has been made yet, but if it does go, McGuire hopes they'll leave something.
Even if it was to be fully demolished, I think it would be really nice if they kept a little bit of something, or maybe made something or a part for people to skate.
The plan is to raise about $22 million to pay for the project. It is still in the planning phase, and there's no start date for construction yet. Also, no plan yet on what to do with the fountain itself. Coming up here in the next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, a record number of people in California are living on the streets. But now a unique program in Berkeley is offering hope for a solution. We're going to meet one man who says it's given him a real shot to turn his life around.
I hope to have programs like this for everybody else around the Bay Area.
The first parade of its kind rolls into KPIX Plus September 20th. From the smooth rides of the 40s to the flash and chrome of the 80s, watch custom lowriders bounce, hop, and roll with style. Award-winning Chevys, classic Fords, and pure automotive artistry. Join Sarah Donchi and myself for King of the Streets Parade, Saturday, September 20th at 1 p.m. Only on KPIX Plus and CBS News Bay Area.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for being with us this Monday. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's another look at some of our news headlines. Homeless people and advocates gathering on the steps of Oakland City Hall today. The group is protesting a new proposal that would allow the city to close homeless camps without notice. It would also allow police to arrest homeless people who repeatedly set up camps. A proposal was introduced last week by Councilmember Ken Houston. He says something needs to be done to address homelessness and that his plan is in line with last year's Supreme Court ruling on Grants Pass. We are learning new details about a sideshow that turned deadly in the East Bay over the weekend. It happened on I-80 in Crockett, where a teenager fell to his death while watching from above. The CHP says a 16-year-old boy climbed over a barrier on the overpass near Pomona and Merchant Streets by the Carquinez Bridge to watch the sideshow below and then fell off. Happened just before 3:30 Saturday morning. Officers say the sideshow involved more than 100 vehicles. And the Trump administration says it has reached a deal with China over TikTok. Congress passed a ban last year out of a bipartisan concern that TikTok was posing a national security risk. But President Trump has delayed enforcement of the ban 3 times. The U.S. Treasury Secretary says both sides have reached a framework deal. He says President Trump is going to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Friday to finalize it. All right, let's get another check on our first alert forecast now. Beginning of a new work week, here's meteorologist Jessica Birch.
High pressure is starting to roll its way into the Bay Area, gearing us up for daytime highs above average in certain microclimates. Today, we're sitting in the 80s in San Francisco and across the Bay Bridge over in Oakland. You make your way up into wine country. Last week around this time, we were talking about daytime highs in the 70s. This week, we have 90s, anywhere from Nevada all the way up into Santa Rosa. And by the way, speaking of 90s, from Concord over into Walnut Creek, Antioch, Livermore, the Tri-Valley area, we're all hand in hand with daytime highs a little bit above average for this time of year. Now, it'll be a nice warm day for us with 90s down into the Santa Clara Valley. Sunny skies expected too, but I want to show you our heat risk map. And notice the change as I turn the page from today, our Monday forecast, all the way into our Tuesday forecast. It becomes a lot more widespread off into those inland zones. Places like the Sacramento Valley look hand in hand with places like the Santa Clara Valley too. Off into the North Bay, as we turn into our Wednesday forecast, we start to see that moderate and even high risk in certain microclimates. So we're monitoring this very closely as we head into the coming days. That area of high pressure impacting hundreds and thousands of us as we're gearing up for daytime highs above average. That hot weather is going to stick around for Tuesday and Wednesday before low pressure rolls in, cooling us off quick back into the 80s by Thursday and Friday. Now, a couple things to mention with this. Now is the time to start hydrating and checking in on your loved ones. Daytime highs are expected to be above average as we head into the next couple days, so you're going to want to take it slow in the mid portion of the day when those UV rays are strong. And you're also going to want to just, push off those lovely walks with the dogs or the kiddos at the park into the early morning hours, or push them off into the late evening hours too. We'll keep you updated on this heat wave here in the Bay Area. It looks like it's going to be beautiful though as we dive into this weekend. Back to you.
New numbers from the California Budget and Policy Center show just how many people are struggling right now. More than 17% of people in our state are having difficulty meeting their basic needs. California tied with Louisiana for the highest poverty rate in the nation, and children has suffered the most. Child poverty has doubled, more than doubled in California between 2021 and 2024, now approaching 19%. And that reality has led to record rates of homelessness in California. When we talk about the challenges of solving the crisis, it's sometimes easier to point fingers and talk about what's not working. But successful cases do exist, and that includes a notorious RV encampment in Berkeley. It's on 2nd Street between Cedar and Page. Outreach workers were able to move nearly all the people who lived there into a shelter motel. And now researchers at UCSF are looking into their success. This is what the encampment used to look like, several blocks lined with vehicles and trash, a definite health and safety hazard. Ryan Yamamoto had the chance to meet one man who lived there, and with help, he's now looking to turn his life around.
Oh, it's great.
It was earlier this year.
About 4 months, I'll say.
Mike Jones took the step to leave the streets.
Life-changing, tell you the truth.
And take a room at this Berkeley motel.
The rooms are beautiful. You get a shower, you got your microwave, you got a fridge, freezer in there. Freezer's a little small, but don't worry about that. But
the conditions, much different from where he used to live.
Oh, other van.
A van he called home for nearly 10 years. As part of an RV encampment on 2nd between Cedar and Page, where dozens of people had taken over the streets.
I think there was only one word to describe it, which was dangerous.
Peter Radu with the City of Berkeley's Neighborhood Services says it had become a health and safety hazard.
Scattered needles, raw sewage, active rodent burrows, you name it.
Between August of 2023 and July of 2024, police were called out 369 times, 1/3 for high-priority calls. The fire department called 81 times, 38 for fires, 43 for medical emergencies. For Mike Jones,
then it started getting worse.
He knew it was time to leave.
Well, the program chose me. I won't even say I chose the program. I say the program chose me. They came around, they had a plan, and I needed change.
And it wasn't just Mike, but nearly everyone living in the encampment made the choice to leave after the City of Berkeley took a different approach. Through funding from the state's Encampment Resolution Fund, they offered cash for RVs, $175 per linear foot, about $5,200 for a 30-foot vehicle.
If folks are really attached to this RV as their last remaining asset, that asset is not liquid. What if we liquefy that asset for them in the form of a cash payment? And we found that overwhelmingly, for 29 out of the 32 vehicles that we targeted this to, the answer to that was yes.
And it worked, where today, 2nd Street between Cedar and Page looks like a completely different world.
So how many people live here now?
36 people.
And that was a big encampment.
Oh, for sure. Big encampment.
Rashawn Atkins works with Dorothy Day House that runs the motel, where people from the 2nd Street encampment now live as a community. The goal to move them from the motel and into permanent housing.
We've had 4 to 5 different people that have moved into permanent housing, and we've had some people reunite with family, which is really important because a lot of times when you're out in an encampment, you're disconnected from your children or your sisters and brothers, and so they've had the opportunity to reconnect with family.
For Mike Jones, he says he appreciates the staff treating him like a human being.
They don't look at you in a down way or nothing, you know, they understand, you know, because it could be them one day, you just never know.
And that having his own room while he waits for permanent housing gives him a sense of dignity.
You know, I hope they have programs like this for everybody else around the Bay Area.
Dignity he hopes others who have fallen into the same situation can experience as they too try to turn their lives around.
Now, we should mention, as part of the deal of the RV buyback, residents receive 15% of the cash up front when they move into the motel, and then they get the rest of the cash once their vehicle is towed. If they choose not to stay, they do get to keep that 15%, no questions asked. The city now looking at a series of RV encampments in West Berkeley around Grayson Street and Dwight Way. They are working with Alameda County and the state to secure funding to replicate the program with Dorothy Day House. The money would go to lease a 32-room motel and pay for another RV buyback program. The Delta Tunnel project has hit another roadblock. The project would funnel clean water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta to Southern California. Governor Newsom tried to fast-track the program so that it could be fully funded and ready to go by the time he leaves office. But the state legislature failed to cast a vote on it last week. Communities around the Delta have consistently shared their concerns about the project.
It just seems ridiculous to take from something that is a fragile environment. There has to be other options.
Those barriers being the state's laws that everyone else needs to comply with. But the governor seems determined to try and circumvent those laws to get his tunnel built.
The project will have to undergo the normal approval process, at least for now. CBS News California investigates. We have been introducing you to the people who want to be our next governor. California correspondent Julie Watts sat down with 11 candidates who have officially entered the race so far.
We were the largest privately owned employer in the state of California. We're in business for 90 years, and now we're out of business.
Why is that?
Overregulation, the policies in California where our competition outside of it didn't have to abide by those.
Each day, Julie brings you one question with one candidate to give you early insight into who they are and why they want to be your next governor. Today, Julie sits down with Leo Zaki.
Leo Zaki is one of the Republicans running to replace California Governor Gavin Newsom when he terms out next year. He lives in Los Angeles, describes himself as a business owner, entrepreneur, and host, and he was previously vice president of Zaki Farms. He says he's running for governor to, quote, bring common sense solutions to save my home state.
We sat down with each candidate for an in-depth interview covering all the issues that matter to you. But we began by asking what they think our current governor and legislature did right and what they would have done differently. That's one question with Leo Zaki. What is something you think that Governor Newsom did well?
I was actually having this conversation last night. Nobody can actually speak to that because there isn't anything he's done well. In my opinion, I don't see any real success coming out of his office that's impacted people in such an amazing way.
Anything specific that you would have done differently?
Everything.
Can you give us an example?
Okay. Raising the minimum wage on fast food workers with the exclusion of bakeries because Panera Bread, the owners of that, gave him a wonderful large campaign contribution. And so they're exempt from that. So there's a lack of consistency there and clear bias So you can't have these biases when you're making regulations like that. It's either all across the board or you don't do it.
What is one thing over the last couple of years that you think the legislature did well?
Again, I don't see anything positive coming out of the legislature. It always seems to be negative. There's always an increase in attacks here, or there's some restriction that's being put on the people. And it's always very one-sided, and it's this hive mind sort of mentality. And the people have lost, that are elected, that is, have lost the concept that the rules and the regulations they pass impact everybody. And they're not focusing on being Team California. This is very much fall in line doctrine, rhetoric, do as you're told, don't ask questions, sign the bill, push it through.
Well, Julie recently moderated the California Governor's Forum hosted by APAPA in Sacramento State. You can watch the full forum on our website, kpix.com, or on our YouTube channel. Coming up next here on CBS News Bay Area, ahead of this weekend's Lowrider Parade in San Francisco, we are meeting the artist who styles some of these souped-up rides you'll see cruising down the city.
It's over 100 cars. You're gonna see a lot of cars over there at the parade in the city. So it's gonna be a lot of my work right there.
This week's forecast with warm weather widespread throughout the Bay Area, but where we really notice it's our inland microclimates, where we're under a moderate heat risk as we head into this afternoon. That's going to be places like the East Bay, the Santa Clara Valley, and all the way up into wine country too, with mid-90s in the forecast today. Tomorrow, upper 90s as we head into our Wednesday forecast before temperatures drop quick back down into the low 80s as we head into Thursday and Friday. That's as a low pressure moves in. Now we're going to notice that warm influence too along the bay with 80s today and tomorrow, 70s by the weekend.
We are counting down to this weekend's Lowrider Parade in San Francisco, and we're shining a spotlight on some different parts of the culture behind it. Today, our Suji Nam introduces us to a man who found his passion when he picked up an airbrush and painted his own lowrider 15 years ago.
The rhythmic hum of the airbrush machine fills the air. As Eric Avalos, a lowrider mural artist, works out of his shop in Hayward.
The background is going to be the Golden Gate.
Precision is key. Each stroke of his airbrush brings these details to life.
Like this one, it takes like a week, 2 weeks to do just the airbrushing.
His journey as a lowrider mural artist began about 15 years ago. Avalos traded his chef's apron and kitchen utensils for some painting supplies and a blank canvas.
I started in my garage like way back in the days.
And for the past 5 years, he's been painting lowriders showcased in the San Francisco Lowrider Parade.
It's over 100 cars. Like every single car is like I say, it's different. There's patterns. You're gonna see a lot of cars over there at the parade in the city. So it's gonna be a lot of my work right there.
Avalos believes lowriders are more than just cars. They bring people together to celebrate community and culture.
You can play with it. You can load the front and then be riding with the front end all the way up.
It's like music to his ears.
This is the car that bring me business because that was the first car I did like I said 15 years ago.
And we paint cars, it comes from your heart, your soul, your mind, you know, and it tells a story.
Roberto Hernandez, the founder of the San Francisco Lowrider Council, is looking forward to this year's parade and the message they hope to send.
With all the war that's going against immigrant Latinos, you know, and the bad things that are being said about us, this is where we are standing up and show the art in our culture, our indigenous roots.
And for Avalos, he's making the final touches on these lowriders that will soon be rolling down Mission Street.
My favorite part is when they take our cars to the shows and then winning trophies.
But for Avalos, the best trophy of it all is the reward of seeing everyone's smiles from the joy that art brings.
And we are going to continue to bring you stories at the heart of lowrider culture, all leading up to our coverage of San Francisco's Lowrider Parade. It's going to be the first time a lowrider parade has been televised start to finish, and you can catch that Saturday, September 20th, beginning at 1 p.m. on Pix Plus and streaming on the free CBS News app. Coming up here on CBS News Bay Area, the Bay Area's albino alligator marking a milestone today. The celebrations for Claude at the Academy of Sciences.
Francisco and Oakland, it's making for a warm day, but you head over into our inland spots. You probably want to take a little bit slow as we head into the afternoon hours today. We're gearing up for daytime highs above average in places like Contra Costa County up into Solano County. We turn the page all the way into our Tuesday forecast. Notice how there's little specks of red down closer to the foothills near the Santa Clara Valley. That's a high heat risk as we head into our Tuesday setup. On Wednesday, that moderate becomes a lot more widespread in the orange color. So a lot of changes as we kick off this work week's forecast, but the crazier change has to do with Wednesday into Thursday's forecast. As low pressure rolls in, it cools us off fast from the upper 90s to the lower 80s with cloudy skies, a chance of some dry lightning in the forecast too. And that'll be the case Friday and Saturday with a lot more mild weather right around the corner. Over to you.
Well, you might call him a little bit of a Bay Area celebrity. The albino alligator at the California Academy of Sciences is turning 30 years old today. Yeah, the museum staff and visitors gathered around the swamp over the weekend and threw an early birthday party for Claude. His birthday present was a fish cake made from fish, ice, and squash. Here's another look at Claude in his habitat today. Our Laureen Ayoub spoke with one of his caretakers and takes a look at Claude's legacy in the city.
In the still waters of this indoor swamp, a rare and otherworldly creature glides just beneath the surface. Claude, an albino alligator and one of the most beloved residents of San Francisco's California Academy of Sciences, is celebrating a milestone few of his kind ever reach, his 30th birthday. He's watched over by a team of expert caretakers, including biologist Jessica Witherly.
All of our animal care biologists take care of different animals here. So some days I'm looking at starfish with our microscope, and other days I am climbing into this pit and feeding Claude with my other caretakers.
The Cal Academy of Sciences is home to over 38,000 live animals, but none quite like Claude, whose rare condition makes him one of a kind.
Claude has become this massive icon to the San Francisco community. Everyone loves him and his story. He's got 2 children's books, and we get news articles or info from kids across the United States saying how much they love Claude. So he's kind of become this iconic character.
Born without melanin, Claude's brilliant white appearance is the result of albinism, a genetic trait that would make survival in the wild nearly impossible. But here in San Francisco, as a rescue, Claude is not just surviving, he's thriving.
He would not survive in the wild as an ambush predator, and then everyone would be able to see him. They'd unfortunately eat him, and also he would get sunburned and turn into a very uncomfortable pink alligator.
From regular health checkups to gentle scrubs, Claude receives the kind of care that ensures a life as relaxed as his temperament.
He's a very calm guy. A lot of people don't think he's real because he doesn't move that much. But I've never been scared. Luckily, at the Cal Academy, we train our staff and have tons of opportunities, so we feel very confident and comfortable whenever we're working with our animals.
And although Claude may be a little bit different, here in the Bay Area, he's right at home.
The celebrations for Claude continue today at the San Francisco Public Library. There is a storytime reading of a new children's book dedicated to him, as well as another birthday sing-along. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We are going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.